My name is Marit Jacobsen. I work with the Norwegian Barents Secretariat, and I'm very happy to invite you all to this side event that we have decided to call Young Entrepreneurs Future-Proofing the North. The event is hosted by us in the Norwegian Barents Secretariat, together with our very good friends in the North Norway European Office and NORA, the Nordic Atlantic Cooperation. As we know, because we live here in the Arctic, everything is connected with everything. Geopolitical tensions, climate change, demographic decline are just a few of the urgent challenges that we face in our everyday lives in our region. And we believe that innovation and entrepreneurship is key to enable us to solve some of the issues that we face today here. And to meet these realities, we need systems and structures to empower young people to move forward with their ideas and innovations. Education systems play a crucial role. Universities, colleges, educational institutions are central to cultivating skills, confidence, and mindsets that we need in our region. So we have invited a lot of guests to this session. We will have two panels today. One with the young experts who are in the process of developing ideas or have just recently established businesses. And a second panel with a little bit higher average age to build on the insights that we get from the first panel. The first panel will be moderated by Christiane Maudo Krystad, and the second panel will be moderated from Arctic Energy Partners, and the second will be moderated by Nils Christian Sørheim Nielsen. Also, I would like to remind you all that this session is streamed online and will be published afterwards. So if you think there are somebody who should have been here or have left the conference already, please share the link when you get back home. I think this will be a very interesting discussion today. So without much further ado, I will give the floor to the moderator of the first panel, Christiane.
Thank you, Marit. And I'm not going to stand here alone and talk, of course. I am not the expert, just to say that, but I will have three experts with me. Elias Nyheim Såstad Solberg. Vær så god. Sivert Bottolsen and Astrid Pettersen. Give them a good warm welcome. So we're going to talk a bit about the current situation for young entrepreneurs in the Arctic. We're going to talk a bit about what support mechanisms these young entrepreneurs need and also the future outlook. But first, let's get to know these young experts a bit more. So can you present yourself a bit more? Tell us what you're working with and why you are here today. Yeah. And also, I would like some reflections about what is the typical young entrepreneur in the Arctic.
Do I need a mic?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Elias Solberg. I work as the program coordinator for young entrepreneurs at Norinova. There, I try to help both students and also entrepreneurs with scaling up their business and helping them start up a company. I'm also a co-founder of a biotech company called MarineSpark X, which we started 2 years ago when we all were students, and we are still trying to make it work. But and the second question, what is a typical young entrepreneur?
How does the young Arctic young entrepreneur look like, or who is this person?
I think I can't generalize too much. At Norinova, I see that we work with a lot of different people. You have the typical entrepreneurs with a lot of charisma and the extroverted type of persons, and you have also the stereotypical tech people that goes around with the headset all the time, and they don't barely say hello to you when you walk past them. But maybe from the Arctic, I like to think that, or the Northern Norway, I like to think that we have this just jump into it kind of mindset. So maybe that's a bit typical for the entrepreneurs here. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sivert Bottolfsen. I'm 27 years old, and I'm a fifth-year student here in Tromsø at UiT. I study computer science, currently writing my master's in collaboration with Microsoft, who also have an office here in Tromsø. I've recently started a company with a student friend of mine called Huller Games, so we are very new to the business world and learning a lot. To answer what is a typical entrepreneur, young entrepreneur here in the north, like the ones I have spoken to at least have been very open and sociable people. I've not met any one of the ones you're talking about who are ignoring everybody. But of course the ones I've talked to have been to conferences and stuff, so that probably attracts more of the open type. But and I would say also, just from what I've seen, most of the young entrepreneurs here in the north are dealing with utilizing the resources we have, krokkebolle, I don't know what that is in English, or tang og tare, or
Yeah, so my name is Astrid. I'm 23 years old, and I am also on the last year of my master's. I'm writing my master's thesis this year, and I study something called space physics. And I'm also currently building a company called AppTech, where we create apps and sensors, and in general it's a small tech startup that I recently started. So yeah, that's my background. And for how I experience young Arctic entrepreneurs are essentially that they're very kind, open, and they are very good at what they do, because I feel like many need a lot of knowledge to dare to start something. So when they first start it, they are usually very good at what they do. So, and yeah, they're open and sharing their resources, and we in general are very eager to help each other out here in the north.
Thank you, guys. I have to say, hearing all that you guys are doing and all the projects that you have, I'm kind of impressed that you have the time to be with us today. So thank you for that. And on that, because you are all young entrepreneurs, but you are also students. So you got the idea. Can you tell me a bit about how did you start to get these ideas and the creativity phase of starting? I mean, how do you go from an idea to a project or a company?
Yeah, so for me personally, I do something called biathlon, which is skiing and shooting with a rifle. And I have done that since I was 14 years old. And the idea actually came from that. So together with my father, I started building an app called Biathlon Shooting App. And it was only recently, now that I am a student, that I discovered that there was a demand for it. So for me to kind of go from an idea and building a company, because you can do anything with an idea. You can do a side hustle, make it your hobby, and all that, those stuff. But to build a company, you kind of both need that passion and also for there to be a demand for what you are producing. And also the network and help to get started. So that's kind of where I believe that you can start a company and build something on top of that.
And since you're mentioning biathlon, and we have the Olympics in a few days, are you looking forward to that? Are you going to watch?
Yes, I'm going to watch it. I'm very eager for the Olympics. I know many of those who are going this year, so that's going to be exciting.
I'm a big biathlon fan too, by the way. So, Sivert, how you go from a side hustle to actually building a business?
So for me, this my business started as just a passion project, basically. Or initially, it started as a course at UiT, where we developed a video game. But then after the course finished and we had our exams, me and my friend who were making this game thought that this might actually have some potential. So we spent like the whole summer continuing work on it, and to this day we are like working on it. And a month ago we decided we want to try to take this more seriously and actually see where this can go. So we started a business. We are like applying to stipends wherever we can. And last week we visited Umeå for the Umeå International Game Conference, which was very like a lot of interesting people and companies, big players in the industry. So we got like a really good feel for what it takes to basically make it in the video game industry. Unfortunately, there aren't like a big community for that here in Tromsø yet, at least. There are some small individual developers, but basically the big communities that I know about in Norway are located in Oslo, unfortunately. But I'm hoping to create a community here as well.
Elias, do you have something to add on the going from the hobby to side hustle and business?
I can try to. To be honest, sea urchins has never been a hobby before now, but we came up with the idea, or we got aware of the problems around sea urchins during a workshop at the university. So our first idea during that workshop was just to create a bait of the sea urchins to snow crabs. And I think we had a lot of passion around the idea, or we thought that, wow, this is a really great idea. So we was just thinking, okay, we need to do something fast before anybody else do it. So we tried to call around. We called to Kupa and Norinova and also the university. And they said that, okay, we have this research vessel is going on a trial or a trip in 1 week, and you can test out your solution then. And we was like, yes, but we didn't have any product and we had no idea how to build this. So we tried to just call around, and we rented this, what's it called, teine, the thing to catch the crabs. We rented it from local fishermen, and Johan at the team is a free diver, so he harvests around 50 kilos of sea urchins. And we was in Johan's garage crushing the sea urchins and trying to create this bait. And the vessel trip was, this was in December 2023. So it was during, we had a lot of exams and a lot of school at that time. So we had to draw a lot of who was going to leave. And it was Mats Kåre. So he was at the research vessel for 3 weeks testing out our product. It didn't work any well. We didn't get one snow crab, so it was a big failure. But I think the transition of going from idea to a product or to a side hustle or a business is over many small steps and not one big leap. That's
So
my
you
answer.
not just jump in.
We did just jump in, but we didn't come up with a solution over a week.
And don't be afraid to fail, I guess, and try out ideas. Yeah. We are at the Arctic Frontiers. This is a side event for Arctic Frontiers, which is a big international conferences. We have people from all over the Arctic, but also rest of the world. How important is networking for entrepreneurs, and maybe especially for young entrepreneurs who are new in the business? And you were mentioning it a bit, Elias, about the international network. So I don't know if you want to expand on that. How important is? Sorry, Sivert.
So in my experience, networking is like really, really important, especially in what I'm doing. Because like just having my name out there opens a lot of doors. So for example, Ismet at Tvibit, I've had a lot to do with him, and I think twice now he has like recommended me just because I have been out there talking to him, you know, and stuff. So just like having networked passively opens doors. So because of that, I've been invited to this event, and also that was the reason I was invited to the UMO Game Conference. So it's like really important. If I had not been out there and tried to like spread the word or talk to people, I would not have like any of the opportunities that I've gotten, basically. So it's really important.
Yeah, it's the same in my experience. The network can often be make it or break it for an entrepreneur. Me as well. Everything I have managed to do is often because of my network, who has put me in the right direction, to put me in the contact with the right people. And often you don't think maybe that you have that big of a network, and then suddenly someone opens your eyes and like you have a bunch of contacts you can use. And that for me has been very helpful. Like even just my machine learning professor, he suddenly invited me to a AI conference where I got to present, and then suddenly I got this whole new network there. And networking is very, very important. So it opens doors, it helps us get the resources we need and the people to build a team, everything. So yeah, network is very important.
I also think it's really essential. As Astrid says, it can open a lot of doors, and I think it can help you to move forward much faster, and you can share experiences. For example, if you meet other young entrepreneurs, and you can try to avoid common mistakes. So it's really essential.
So use the network you already have, see the opportunities there, and also we have to be good to include you in these kinds of networks arenas. That's kind of the keys. How important is it to have a network with other young entrepreneurs to kind of share experiences and stuff like that?
Like in my experience, just talking to other young entrepreneurs, especially here in Tromsø, has like they have told me of so many places to like apply for money or to look for like advice and guidance, and these things are not super easy to find online always. So just being able to talk to people like Elias, for example, helps like a lot in just finding the resources, basically.
Yeah. I completely forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, talking and networking with other young entrepreneurs are very important. As I said before, we're very open and sharing our experiences with each other. So that means that we can help each other where to look and what to look for. And as Elias said, like these mistakes, like common mistakes, if we talk to other young entrepreneurs that have been through similar steps that we are going through currently, we can avoid those common mistakes so that we can, move forward faster and maybe also move forward in a better way than we would have been able to do alone.
Ja, som de sa.
Do you have any do you have the networks in place? Do you have some kind of, is there a professional network where young entrepreneurs can be a member, or do you have these kind of mechanisms in place?
At Norinova, we have different incubator programs and accelerator programs, such as Arctic Ignite, which is a program for young entrepreneurs in North Norway under the age of 35. I think Astrid has been a part of it, and you also have initiatives at the university such as InnoHub, where like-minded people can meet each other and go to different events. I think there is a lot of initiatives, but as Sivert says, it can be difficult to find or know where to look. But I think there's a lot of great things going on. What do you think?
I agree.
I agree as well.
So we talked a bit about the networking bit and the ID phase, but let's talk a bit more about what other support mechanisms you need to be a young entrepreneur and to succeed, like education and so forth. So would you like to start? Elias?
Yeah.
You're sitting on like 'cause
Both
you have
of the sides.
Yeah.
It can be difficult sometimes, but I feel programs such as Arctic Ignite, which are aiming for young entrepreneurs, and these are the entrepreneurs with, also they don't, in many cases, then they don't have a lot of experience, and they need people to give them advice, maybe ask some critical questions, and make sure that they have the right things to go forward. So I think that's a great program. At the same time, there is a decrease in funding from, for example, Innovation Norway, and there is a lack of capital, or there isn't a lot of people that are willing to invest in pre-seeds in North Norway. So everything tells you that you should rather go into a safe job and earn a safe salary instead of starting up on your own. So you need this support mechanism to make it more attractive.
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, like there are like super small stipends you can get before you apply to bigger ones, like student, for example. And these small ones help a lot. Like we applied to UiT Talentfond and also to Tvibit, which has several stipends you can get. And that helps a lot, just as a confirmation that your idea has something, basically. So it's not a lot of money, but it puts the belief in you that this might work and gets you started. But like you said, I mean, the next step after that, they have like reduced the funding, which is kind of sad. Like for us, we are applying to student, for example, and that could like make or break. I mean, there are other ways of getting funding, but that's like the main one. And that could potentially like make or break our project. So,
Yeah, I agree with the two others, and I also think that we need to make guidance and advices to young entrepreneurs more available, because often, from my own experience, that we notice like funding or opportunities way too late, so that opportunity has already left. For example, when I started my company, I could no longer apply for stuff at UiT to get funding from UiT, and I didn't know about that before I started the company. So maybe I would have gone a different direction to get the funding to do more before starting the company itself. So I think we need to make this knowledge more available than it is currently, and also to kind of give this knowledge intentionally to a bigger audience rather than just those we think will start a company or that we think will take the risk. Because many of us don't know whether or not we are interested. And when we get this knowledge, we suddenly like, oh, this is fun, I want to do that. So I think we just need to expand where we are actually providing this knowledge.
So information and communication can also be better, and I guess that's also important when we talked about the network part, that you actually meet the people who can tell you this information.
And also having innovation courses at the university where they might have a guest presentation and talk about all the startup opportunities you have and some of the grants you can get and when you can get it and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to touch upon next, because you mentioned now that we have some government funds, Innovation Norge, etc., but these can be better and be increased. And also you have some private programs, but there is also a need for more private investments, if I hear you correctly. So, but yeah, you are a student, and you've been a student. So how is it to be a student? And you were also talking a bit about this. How are the support mechanisms for students to be entrepreneurs? And as you mentioned, there could be more courses.
Yeah, so I mean, there are several courses at the UiT which like more or less promote entrepreneurship. My project started as a course, which was basically just make a product, like make a game, and you have half a year, and you get like your student points. I don't know. Yeah. So you can basically like do a project which can be the start of a business at the same time as it being for your studies, which is great. And that's just one example. There are like a bunch of other similar ones. So that's a really good thing that there should be more of, I think.
Yeah, and I also think that when you are specifically a student, you have more of that support around you, such as InnoHub. Like recently for this startup company, I've gotten a lot of help from them. But just a year ago, when I was part of another startup for a short amount of time, there were very little support and very little knowledge because we didn't know where to look at all. So recently now, there have been a lot more development in that area where they are communicating more to the other faculties and not only those who study innovation, but also us who study technology, because we don't have a single course in innovation or anything around that unless we ourselves take the interest and apply for those courses. And also, yeah, as a student, I have also with my company taken courses or special curriculums specifically for my company to get the help I need, and also, for example, develop a machine learning mechanism inside of my app that I have developed with my professor in a course to get study points. So it's very good to do that. You just need proper contracts to ensure that you own what you produce. So yeah, I think it's, yeah, you get a little bit more support when you're a student rather than when you're not.
Yeah, and to add on that, I think it was a great timing to start when I was a student, because you get you get financial support from Lånekassen, so there's no risk in that way. You don't need to take out salary, and you also have access to both advisors such as InnoHub, but also the professors at the university. They helped us a lot. So, what was the question again? Sorry.
Just how you can have better support mechanism being a student.
And also more courses and more innovation and entrepreneurship in the courses. I think that will help a lot.
Yeah. Do you think that it should be, as you mentioned, like not all entrepreneurs are studying innovation. They can be in all kinds of studies. Should they include this in more different fields of studies?
Oh, absolutely. I think that next year, from 2027 maybe, or after the summer, it's going to be this innovation course in every master direction at the university. So that's great. So
yeah. As you all mentioned, we have some stipends and we have some funding that entrepreneurs can apply for. But I want to hear a bit about your experience about the process of applying for these, because I think what we all are thinking is it's going to be like a lot of forms to fill out, and it just reading about the application process can be scary in itself. So do you see any way we can improve these kind of processes, or are they good enough as they are today?
I mean, we are applying to Student, for example, which is like a lot of pages of stuff you have to fill out, which can be like intimidating and confusing. But luckily there are like already some support mechanisms. Like there are people you can talk to at UiT, which will help you and describe what is expected in different parts of the application. Like you helped us, for example. So there is help to get, but still can be a bit confusing also.
I think if the first thing you meet as a potential founder is a huge application portal with endless forms, I think that can be a problem. But at the same time, if the first thing you meet is a small grant from the university, and then the next time it's a bit bigger application, it's just a small process going forward. And also I know that there's a lot of focus on this thing, and as far as I know, Innovation Norway has come from, I don't know, 30, 40 different applications to maybe 3, 4, or 5. So I think the focus is working.
Yeah, maybe there can be done some simplifications. I don't know what simplifications could have been done, But me personally, yeah, the application process can be quite intimidating, especially when you don't have anyone to ask or rely on because you're afraid to do something wrong or to put emphasis on the wrong things in the application. But as long as you kind of have those advisors or someone to ask, then it becomes very okay to do it. And also, as Elias mentioned, if you start with the smaller applications, such as a grant from UIT, you can always use that old application to build on and continue working on that. So, for example, with like the first grant you get from Innovation Norway, that application is very similar to the student application. So we are kind of using that and build on top of that application and what we wrote there to apply for student ourselves. So it becomes less intimidating if you just take it in small steps.
And yeah, you want to?
So just like a quick, like I think people before they apply to any type of thing, like just a person with an idea, basically, they might think like, oh, I'm not supposed to, like this isn't a good enough idea or something like that. So maybe, if anything, just make these like tiny stipends, like UIT Talent, for example, like show them a bit more around. Like my dentist, out of all people, like a student, had like a really good idea, but she didn't know basically how available these resources are. So she hadn't even thought of the idea of trying to get funding for the idea. So yeah.
So go for the low-hanging fruits at the beginning, and then use that experience for other application processes. And as we already mentioned, time. You don't have a lot of time to spare, and I guess these application processes take a lot of time.
Yeah, they do. They take up a lot of time, especially when you need new documentations that you don't have yet, and you want to make it look good and do it the best you can. So it takes a lot of time to do it properly before sending in the application.
Yeah. So if your motivation is not killed by the application processes ahead of you, how do you think? How are we going to get more young people and encourage more young people to be entrepreneurs up here in the north? Big question.
I think we need more funding, both to startups and also to the support system. I think we need more courses with innovation and entrepreneurship. And last but not least, I think we need to also highlight the positive sides and all the opportunities that you have, and not only talk about the challenges, even though there is a lot of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like mention some of the advantages. Like I didn't know this, even though it might be like very obvious, but I talked to somebody who developed like an app or like an augmented reality video game, basically, and they were telling us how like when putting our time into developing an app, it's not lost time even if you fail. Like later on, applying for jobs, having this type of stuff on your resume looks amazing. And that's a thing that is easy to forget. At least, like I didn't think about it. Like it's not lost time, regardless of how like little success it results in, basically. So that's a good thing to know as well.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, just show the opportunities to a bigger audience rather than just the ones you think are going to start and take the risk and jump in right away. Because yeah, many of us, me included, I didn't know I was interested in innovation at all until like my 4th year at my integrated master, and it was just a coincidence that I encountered it. So if the information were more available and more expanded to a bigger audience, then maybe I would have started earlier, maybe I would have gotten more knowledge before starting. And I think that if we just increase the pool of people that might be interested, that gets the knowledge, then we also automatically increase the amount of people that actually takes the risk and jump in, because more people have the knowledge to do it.
As Marit mentioned, we are having this talk in a very special time internationally, and thinking about the geopolitics, especially here in the Arctic. we have a lot of challenges right now in the world that we also see here on the ground in Tromsø. Do you think that investing in young entrepreneurs and innovation is going to be important to give us the solutions to these big problems that we face today in the world? Is it the young entrepreneurs from the Arctic that's going to solve the climate crisis, for example? And yeah.
I definitely think that young entrepreneurs are part of it, because young people, we are the future. And to be able to live in the future, we need to also solve these issues that we are encountering currently. So I think that by investing in young entrepreneurs and also giving them the resources, we can start solving these problems. And I also think that many of these problems that we are countering needs to be solved by those who are experiencing it, and also by those who are most impacted by it. And young people, it's our future. So of course we are very interested in solving these issues, so we have that extra motivation as well.
Yeah, because when we're talking about kind of war and conflict and all of these politics, we often think it's like the politicians and the diplomats that are going to solve this. But can young entrepreneurs and innovation and entrepreneurship actually be a part of solving this crisis?
It's a difficult question, but I definitely think young entrepreneurs is a really important part of the solution. I think that they can bring in new perspectives, both from the university and also local knowledge, and are looking into the same challenges but in a new way. But I don't think they can solve the problem alone. We need to do it with the rest of the society as well.
Yeah, and I think young people are, like you mentioned, like maybe have a fresh perspective, or are willing to take perhaps more risk than somebody who has a, I don't know, established family, perhaps. Like they're willing to just throw themselves out there and try something. And like I recently saw an interesting interview with Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, and he was basically saying, like, if I knew before creating Linux how hard it would be, I wouldn't even have started. So like some element of like young naivety can be good in certain situations.
Yeah, and talking, sorry.
And I think that solving the issues that we are currently encountering is a common effort. We all need to do small and little things, because together that will account for a lot if everyone just does a little bit.
And talking about the future, will you guys stay here in the north? Are we attractive enough for that you will stay here and continue your entrepreneurship and ideas and investments?
My dream is to grow old and grey in my hometown Kabelvåg, so I would love to stay in the north. But there is some challenges, but I think both me and the startup can face whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, kind of same, just replace Kabelvåg with Tromsø. Like, I plan on probably going out there in the big world to like Oslo, for example, for a couple of years. But then my plan has always been to return to Tromsø. So yeah.
Yeah, I also really want to stay in the north. It's because of my personal connection and also my interest. I love both mountains and the ocean, so I kind of need the combination that the north gives me. But I also want to experience parts of the world outside of Norway as well, before going back here and settling down. But I won't be going to Oslo.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years? I mean, in the north, obviously, which is very good to hear. And I definitely support the idea of going out and seeing some other perspectives. But then it's very good that you want to bring them back home. But where do you see yourself career-wise in 10 years?
Well, I feel like I have a lot of options. Either I have built this tech company that's huge, or I want to have built rockets and send people up into space, or I want to become a professional athlete. So I don't know. So I'm just taking things as they come, really, and jumping on the opportunities that I get.
So we might see you in the Olympics in 10 years.
Maybe I don't think so, but but yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do biathlon for the rest of my life and train and hike and yeah, everything, because it's fun. So that's why I do it.
Hopefully, we in Marine Spark, together with the rest of the society, has saved the kelp forest. And I hope that I have helped a lot of other startups through Norinova. And I feel like I have a lot of opportunities both in North Norway or the rest of Norway. I haven't managed to made any plans other than that.
I will in 10 years be doing creative stuff like developing games, and it remains to see if that will be through like my own business or as a hobby project next to a job. But of course, I hope it will be through my business.
So to summarize, before we give the floor to the next panel, what I hear is that we have a lot of young entrepreneurs with many ideas, and we have a lot of creativity. We have some funds opportunity, both private and also governmental, but there is room to have more information out and communicate better so we can get even more entrepreneurs. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to talk a bit more about how we can get more entrepreneurs and how universities can support young people in entrepreneurship, we're going to have the next panel, which will be led by Nils Christian Sørheim Nilsen, the director of the North Norwegian European Office.
And welcome to this second session of this side event at Arctic Frontiers. We are now going over to the geriatric department. So we have now heard about young entrepreneurs living in the north, willing to take a risk and save our future. No regions in the world is you could say future-proofed. We need these young entrepreneurs taking risks. It's not an easy task. I can assure that. I've been working in Innovation Norway, among others, and I know it's a hard job just to collect the necessary money to start up, and you could say come through this bloodbath, as many call it. We very often talk about mega project. It's geopolitics, it's security in the Arctic, and of course all of this is important, but we should also be honest. When it comes to education, support, structure, and you could say also the grown-up in the room, it's included myself, who like to say that we support entrepreneurship. But sometimes we make it unnecessarily hard. We are very good at creating strategies and talk about what to do, but do we have the necessary framework to make this? So today in this session we ask the big question. It's rather simple, but can also be a bit uncomfortable. Are we actually helping young people taking risk in the north, or are we just very good at this strategy writing and talking? To help us to explore this today, we have a panel that combines policy experience, research on innovation in peripheral regions, and a real-world entrepreneurship from small places with global ambition. So let me introduce first Kenneth Stålseth. He's the director of the Barents Secretariat. You can also see them in the back here if you forget the names. We also have Rannveig Edda Hjaltadottir. She is Associate Professor of Innovation at Nord University Business School in Norway. And last but not least, from the Faroe Islands, Olavur Ellefsen is a serial entrepreneur and chairman of the University of the Faroe Islands. So we have a wide range of experience here, and that might help us answering some tricky questions. Of course, I'm happy if the answers are not too long, so we managed to cover a wide range of topics, of course, and it is also desirable with comments from each other, and we are also opening for questions from the audience. So I will start with you, Kenneth. You have a focus on where policy meets praxis. You have a Barents perspective. You have seen hundreds of projects come and go through the Barents lens. And if you had to bet your own money, what kind of young entrepreneurs actually survive in the North, and which one almost always disappear?
Yeah, to start off, I think it's really hard for the governmental side to pick winners. I have experienced ideas that I think is boring, crazy, and even insane, that are just brilliant. So you have to look at it up on the context they're coming from, the rationale behind it, and of course the passion behind it. And I love to listen to the young entrepreneurs with all of them saying they have a passion for what they're doing. The ones that actually fail are the ones that are brought for someone else. So I have this idea that Rannveig should fix, or Nils should fix, or the municipality should fix. I don't have any stake in it to myself. I want someone else to solve it for me. They tend to go very wrong. And also the ones that forget that you need someone to pay for this service or product, or you tend to have this brilliant idea, but you haven't thought of how to sell it, or do anyone want this? Or do you just kind of assume that, of course, the municipality will buy it? You haven't thought to anyone, but you just think your idea is brilliant. And we listened to the young entrepreneurs, and they were good at it already. They didn't put all the eggs in one basket. They worked with the product, they iterated on it, and found out, does this work, go back, learn, and even told that they were 3 weeks on a boat, and which sounded like a failure, but they probably learned a lot from it. So the projects that are succeeding are the ones that kind of do these things, that they have passion, follow the dreams, really test it, use the network, use the ecosystem, use the Barents Secretariat, Innovation Norway, SIVA structure, all the ones that were mentioned earlier. Show up on conferences, ask around, use your professors, ask them to send you to someone that knows this topic instead if they are stuck in but who can help me? Yeah.
Very good. We can go over to academia, to you, Rannveig. Focusing on research, education, peripheral regions, future skills, things like that. But if you study innovation in peripheral regions for years, what's the biggest myth policymakers believe about entrepreneurship in the High North?
Well, I haven't done a scientific analysis of this, but I think it's that there is a specific type. There is the entrepreneur. I think that's the biggest myth we have going around. It's the idea that it's somebody that comes with an almost ready idea that only needs a little money and tweaking to get it out there. And like we heard from the young people earlier and from Kenneth, this is not the case. What irritates me, and just before I start talking feminism, I'm Icelandic, I can't help myself. The idea of the perfect entrepreneur is very often a 35, 40-year-old man with experience from industry or being on the job before. That is not the case. Research does absolutely not support this, even if we have an example.
I take that as a compliment.
Well, we don't want you out.
If you think I'm 35.
I need a favor. No, but just we've been hearing that this is not the case, but that there are differences, and I think one of the problem is, what do politicians often mean, and policymakers? They mean people that are not just entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs that create the big companies that grow for years and years. But you know what? Well over 90% of firms in the periphery are very small companies with 3 to 5, maybe 10 employees, largely your own family, and your aim is not to be big, your aim is to create service for your community and have stable, good jobs for yourself and your family. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with this. I like to have hairdressers and snow clearing and so on. These are not the ones we are creating support systems for. So maybe we also need to take a look at our idea. And I think we really, really need to broaden the picture in our heads.
Very good. We are going over to the practitioner, a serial entrepreneur from the Faroe Islands, and you have succeeded. You have built global companies from very small places. And what's the real advantage of starting a company in, for example, Faroe Islands?
So, as crazy as it might sound, the biggest advantage is that we're small. Mm-hmm. A small community has disadvantages, yes, but it has lots and lots of advantages. And one being, as was mentioned before, the networking. And a small society like ours, I can talk to the mayor of the capital. I can talk to the prime minister. And any entrepreneur has easy access to the people that they need. And that is a huge advantage in itself. Also, being small forces you to think big, because we don't have a home market. We just need to think global right away. If you take the Faroe Islands specifically, I think we have a unique blend of traditional and modern. And I think the same applies to here, and the same applies to Iceland and Greenland, that you are hyper-traditional and at the same time hyper-modern. And people tend to be able to bridge that. So you have generalists, people that can do a lot of different things.
So in a way, since we live under the conditions that we do, we are used to adapt, to turn around quickly, to fix things. That's a good, you could say, ability that we have to manage this kind of things.
Yeah, we're forced to be adaptable, and we're forced to force the elements, or to face the elements.
Back to you, Kenneth, from a Sør-Varanger perspective, from your time in Sør-Varanger, what's harder to build in the Arctic? Infrastructure, capital, or belief among young people that this is a place worth betting their future on?
Luckily enough, I got the question up hand, because that's a tricky question, and I had a good answer to it, and then I started to listen to the young entrepreneurs and kind of rewrite everything. Yeah. But in the end, I still have the idea that great projects tend to find money, but it takes time. Money comes with some sort of intelligence behind it. There's no free meals out there. We have, from the Barentssekretariat, we have things that we have to report on. We're supposed to deliver things. So when people apply us for something, they have to help us to solve some sort of goals, or help us to succeed as well as themselves. So we have things that we have to deliver. But in Europe, I think we have like 4,000 venture funds and startup capital funds. So finding these networks and working with them can take a lot of time, but it's also essential. Infrastructure, however, is extremely important. It's tangible, it's visible, it brings hopes, it brings activity, but it's not really hard because and it's bringing innovation. But in the end, I simplify it quite a lot. It's just decisions. If a municipality wants to build a school, build a school. If the government wants to build a new road, build a road. So in the end, it's the keeping the young people in the region is kind of the hard stuff to do. You need other things there. You need the schools, you need the systems, you need the infrastructure. But young, talented people, even though they have their own companies, are still talking about going abroad, going around in the world. And you can basically live in Kirkenes or in Tromsø and work anywhere and commute. And we want them to have their companies and their startups in our region and work in our region. So it's a really tough thing to do, but it's possible to do. And we know a lot about these things, and it's another debate, but we should start to act on these frameworks and not just talk about them.
Good. We go back to the university again. And we have heard this young student entrepreneurs, where are you in 10 years? And university love talking about entrepreneurship. We all love to talk about it, but between the lectures, examens, and funding rules, are we actually training founders, or are we just very well educated employees? Is it possible to reflect a bit on this?
Well, firstly, I want to criticize your question.
Okay, do that.
I don't think there is a fundamental difference between training an employee and training an entrepreneur. Companies need creative, innovative employees that have good knowledge about business and where to get funding. Here are the similarities. And by the way, this is a big part of what I need for my job also. So I'm just criticizing that I don't think entrepreneurs are as unique as we often talk about them. This is more of a scale of where you choose to use your talents, where your life takes you. That said, I really, really liked the comments from you guys before, and thank you so much. I learned a lot from listening to you. Specifically, you, and sorry, I'm bad with names. The thing about not having innovation and business courses in all educations. Getting back to your question, really. So I think we should be much better at it. I am very, very surprised to find that doctoral students in bioeconomy have often never, in biosciences, have often never had a single course in innovation or in business models. Bioeconomy is one of the fastest growing industries we have. And Norway specifically is putting more and more focus on that. But the scientists that are supposed to come up with the ideas clearly are not planned to be the people to take it out into the world. I've done quite a bit of doing innovation courses and circular economy courses for people in engineering, biosciences, and other. And it is so much fun, and they are so interested. So I think we need to do more of that, regardless of if they are going to work within a company and support their own company to take things to market, or if they're going to do it in their own firm.
Good. We can go further to you, Olavur. You have done this, and you have several successful exits. And I would love to hear, maybe you could give us one example, but another thing is, what's the mistake you see young founders repeat that almost guarantee to failure? And when even when the idea is good, and can you elaborate a little bit around this? Tell us about one good example on success.
I can start with the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make, young and old, is to focus too much on the idea and to being too stuck on the idea and not being ready to pivot, and not being ready to stop. There's a strength to not be willing to stop, but at the same time, there's too much focus on the idea and too little focus on the execution. So I've been involved in many different ventures.
But when do you know when you have to stop?
If
This
there's no money left, you know it.
Yeah, this is your baby, and yeah, you love it.
It's not. I don't think the question is so much about stopping. It's more about getting to doing. Talking too much about the idea, refining it, and not getting it out there is the problem.
Good. Yeah, of course.
What we also see is it is often weakness in the business models. People spend too much and keep on developing, spending money on the idea before they have created the flow of income. So it's timing of when you do development.
So I've been doing this since my early 20s, and I still make the same mistake of going out too late and being afraid to get it out there.
Yeah.
It has to be perfect because it's so embarrassing if it's not.
If it's failed. Yeah, but yeah, I can see that one. So the focus on market is very important from the very beginning, and start testing it. Yeah, that's good. Then we go back to Finnmark again, and we are going down to if you cannot, if a 23-year-old founder came to you tomorrow with a crazy idea for Finnmark or the Barents region, and what's the first red flag you would look for?
I mentioned it previously, and Olafur said it too, but put some context on it. I'm a governmental employee and kind of risk averse by being there. So we are looking for who is this idea for. I mentioned it earlier. Is it an idea for someone else to solve? How much effort will you put in it? Do you have the passion for this? Will you follow up on it? Will you use hours on it? Or do you expect me to solve it? We have this idea in Norwegian. You said we have the word for change, which is forandre. Forandre could be say for andre, we mean for someone else. That's a big red flag.
Yeah. Good. We have talked about education, and to you, Randveig. If you were allowed to delete one thing from the university system to make room for more Arctic entrepreneurs, what would you remove?
So you intend to get my colleagues to hate me here?
Well, you have some of them.
You know, professors, we all think my subject is the most important because that's what we chose to use our lives on. I think maybe, I think we will have to make this choice anyway. And it needs to be a collaborative choice. It needs to be done within universities, but we need outside input. We need input from people in industry. We need people from service to entrepreneurs. We need from entrepreneurs. But the thing is, we live in small countries, and universities in small countries tend to have broad educations because we simply do not have the population size to do what America and the UK do, to have bachelor degrees with this much span. We need more generalists because we also come from communities where you have to do a lot of different jobs. So I think largely we have a model that works pretty well for that. There is always room for change, but we are also just running into that AI will change what we need to know and how we need to do it. So I think we will automatically need to do a re-evaluation of education systems. And therefore talking maybe about specific like this is not the timing at the moment. What we need to start deciding. So at the moment, universities are supposed to train researchers entrepreneurs, employees, and general good citizens. That's a tall order. Over 3 years. And 20 subjects. And all kinds of other things. So what I would like to see us do more is offer students opportunities at campus that isn't necessarily part of the education programs. We have within Nord a very good example of this in Steinkjer, one of our small campuses, because Steinkjer campus has InnoCamp. So the incubator, the local business society have meetings and happenings there once or twice a week in the canteen area, and these are constantly and every time open to the students. So it's kind of, let's contaminate type of a model, or what I call the potato model. But so I think we should do more of these. So maybe don't hide the incubators somewhere else. See if we can have them on campus where their activities are part of daily life.
I'm curious to hear a bit about the Faroe Island. They have a serial entrepreneur as the chair of the university. And have you promoted this kind of thinking? What are you doing in the Faroe Island within this? We're talking about smaller communities where everything is linked together. And how is the ecosystem in Faroe Island?
I think the ecosystem is vibrant, and that there are many entrepreneurs, but it is mainly in the traditional industries, mainly in fisheries and fish farming and related industries, and that's where we are strongest. There are some tech entrepreneurs, and there are other entrepreneurs as well, also in the wider bioeconomy. The university itself, although I've been chairman for many years, we're not strong when it comes to entrepreneurship. I would rather say that we're envious of the university here in Tromsø, that there are examples like we've seen today that start companies from the university. So that is one of the focus areas of the university today in our new strategy plan, to focus on innovation and entrepreneurship, and mainly in innovation.
Just to follow up, we were touching upon AI, and of course we have ocean that is in common for us. It's sustainability, and young people, they hear a lot of big words, not least on a conference like this. But if you were 20 again in the north today, where would you actually place your first risky bet?
So if you're asking me?
Yes.
Today, you touch a bit upon it, but I think there is a huge headline that is larger than the geopolitical situation, and that's AI, or artificial intelligence. So if I was 20 again, I would do the same as I'm doing now. I will double down on artificial intelligence and definitely exploit everything I could out of that, because it is such a huge transformation. So regardless, use machine learning, artificial intelligence at the core or as a vehicle. But beyond that, I would go for the traditional advice of going with your passion is right, because entrepreneurship is hard, and you're going to spend a lot of effort on it, and you won't do that unless it's something that you are passionate about. So if you're passionate about seaweed or skiing or games, you should go with that. Don't try to guess what the market wants and so on. Go with your passion and find the market for that. And I'm sure you have adjacent passions, and then you can find something that you're passionate about that the market wants.
Good. We go back to Norway again. And Kenneth, we very often talk about resilience and preparedness, but Out from what we're talking about here, your thinking around, do our support system reward risk-taking young entrepreneurs, or do they quietly train them to play it safe?
I think we touched a bit up on it when Ranveig asked, but to start with, resilience is an important word. It's shortly said, you plan, execute, and learn, and bounce forward to the new normal. The world is changing really fast, and you said AI will change everything. You have geopolitics that are changing every day, local politics. The world that we saw yesterday will not be the same tomorrow, so everything is constantly changing, so we need to adapt, and the ones that are able to do that will be the strong ones. So, but in general, we have this impression, both from the discussions here, that it's something that we should safeguard ourselves and be risk-averse instead of controlling the risk and working with unknowns. So giving that perspective, I don't think that the systems that we have today are fully rewarding risk-taking and training us to do that. And I would love to see that, as Ranveig said, bringing innovation courses from the first grade at the child school to the 10th grade, the high schools. Can you imagine if you start to learn entrepreneurship in the kindergarten somehow and do that all the way up to you're done with your PhD, how that will transform the society and how the way we work together. And if you do this within the Arctic 6 programs, where we have international student groups working together and get some scale on it, instead of 3 companies here, we had 300 companies visiting us, then we'll actually start to do something and change stuff. So that will be like a really cool dream, and I would love to see that the Partner Secretariat could be a part of that journey as an extended partner, or helping the young entrepreneurs and the ones to do this. And it's not about only to the new businesses. It's, as Ranveig said, it's also into sports and culture, that people are able to grasp the opportunities that they see and follow the passion, even though it's a hobby or something else, and don't expect other ones to feed them, but you do it yourself. I see an opportunity, I want this done, so let's do it. Bring some friends with you. So we need to train that for sure. It's a skill. It's a mindset too. Yeah.
So the whole system have to be changed.
Yeah, not dramatically, but we have to continuously work with it, so we ensure that we build the foundation for the future that we want.
But Ranveig, we often talk about young people often leave the North to learn and never come back. It's partly a myth. The numbers are not that dramatic, but too many might do that. But from your research, what actually makes them return? Is it nostalgia? Is it opportunity? Or is it a kind of stubbornness?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is something I've been dealing with in some way and capacity for my job for the last more years than I want to say. I come from a very peripheral area in northern Iceland, a community with 350 people, and all but 3 were in my family, literally. I then moved to the town in the area with 1,600 people. So I know of this problem. The problem is when young people go, and I don't think I agree with you on how the severity of the numbers, because it's not just the numbers themselves, it's also who is it. Because we know some of the people that are going have a bigger drive to do different things than those that stay at home. They have different drive, and we need both. And so the problem is when they go and how long. People that go from these peripheral areas to go to have an education, they leave somewhere between 18 and 20, depending on the education system in a given country. And they are away for the next 5-6 years. That's the plan. But this is the time we meet our partners. This is the time people are settling down in defining for themselves what is my life and what do I like to do. And if you get a partner that comes from a completely different part of the country, there is this problem of, are we going to go to your town or my town? No, let's stay in Trondheim. Because that way we are not messing up with either messing equally with the families. The solution that we have tried to work out in Iceland is firstly try to keep as many closer to home as possible, so build up education systems in at least each region. There is a smaller chance that people that go from Kirkenes or some of the other, don't remember the name of, to Tromsø, and if they go to Oslo, they are more likely to be in strong relationship with their home community and go home. But the other aspect that has worked really, really well in Iceland is offer samlingbaset, so online but with meetings, educations for the people that stayed at home. So a few years you've been working for the municipality or the local fish company and as the office manager. You get help from your company to take this education. You get to stay away for a week here and there on full salary. And that helps build the education and the knowledge base in these local communities, and that also supports people to come back. And my hometown in Dalvik, when I moved there in my 20s, there were 5 teachers, the priest, and the 2 doctors with an university education. Today, it would be difficult to find a person under 35 with not at least a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And it has changed. We have 2 global headquarters in this tiny little town. And this hangs together.
Yeah. So campuses is a very good thing. Build more campuses around.
Yes, and so we know what happens with smaller campuses when the money gets tighter. They are the first one to disappear because the decision takers are in the big campus.
Yeah.
And we have a natural tendency to believe the big campus is most important. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying the losers are the small ones. So we need to commit more to that. If we open them up, we give them as a good chance as possible. We help market them. We get the local business organizations to back them up.
Can I just a quick question related to this? You live in Kirkenes. You have a campus, Nord University. I've been there for many years. And you also have a very funny thing called Nothing Hill. It's the old hospital who built up around this entrepreneurship and collecting people from all around the world. How do you see that affect a city like Kirkenes and this combination between education and the entrepreneurship environment?
When we started to work with the Nothing Hill project, we had 22,000 square meters of concrete, basically, old infrastructure, and the owners didn't know what to do with it. It costed them quite a lot of money every year just to maintain it. So the idea was that you go to school and you learn something, but you need an area to actually execute something and meet other ones. So you have education, entrepreneurship is the doing part, but you also need to have something valuable in your life, so you have to have entertainment. So how can we start to combine these ideas within this huge hospital and bring people into it? And it's in Kirkenes, it's actually growing. In the beginning, it was a lot of resistance, and people were asking, why do we need this? But today, I think it's about 100 people that are working there. And we visited last week with the Ministry of Fishery, and they said 36 companies. I've been there for a year. I had to get some distance from as you said, you have to sometimes leave your babies. So it was really nice to see it again, and I think it will continue to work. And it attracts a lot of international actors. We're able to connect it with the Helsinki environment, international investors, and they're visiting because you have a place to meet. And the investors don't go around in northern Norway looking into each municipality or behind every rock and looking for startups. They want to go to the areas where you bring them into a sort of community and pick the winners.
So a campus and an old hospital is a very good solution. But you had a question, or was it? Over 5 minutes left. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a bit slow, you know, so sorry for that. So 5 minutes left, maybe 3 now. Okay, we take a quick round. You are the chair of the Faroe Island University, but you're also a serial entrepreneur, Ólafur. But if you had, I presume that you give your own university good advice on what to do, but if you had to give Arctic University one brutal, simple piece of advice to help create more real entrepreneurs, what would that be?
Simple advice.
Yeah.
Simple advice would be to stop teaching entrepreneurship as a subject and start teaching it as a method. Stop talking and start doing. But I would like to, so that's just my simple advice, but I would like to echo what Rannveig was saying about the campus, importance of the campus, and that is a core focus of ours, and thankfully we are sufficiently sovereign, or we can decide ourselves how much we invest in, for instance, the campus. And an important part of that is housing, and that's a huge problem for us, student housing. So we have this problem with young people moving abroad. So approximately half of each generation move abroad, the other half stays, and approximately half of the university students are at our university and half are abroad. And of that half that moves abroad, approximately half of them come back. And that is not enough. And we want them to be in our society in their 20s. So the strategy is the same, is to try to have them as long as possible to hopefully take their bachelor's degrees, but then to encourage them to combine it with half a year or 1 year abroad, or taking their master's abroad, but having their roots back home. That's important to us.
Very good. Last question about stealing. I presume we have 1 minute left to answer that. But Rannveig, you work across many countries in Europe. And what's one idea from elsewhere that the Arctic should steal immediately?
Steal is not the right word. Knowledge is for sharing. The more you share, the more you get out of it. That's a fundamental thing, and we've known this for over 5,000 years. So Norway has, well, when I say Norway, I mean Helgeland. That is where I live, have done for 5 years, and that's what I know best of Norway. Not invented here is a syndrome that Norwegians are absolute experts in. There is a distrust. Norwegian seems to think that we need to invent everything anew. We really, really need to start being more open for ideas from outside. Recently, I've been doing a lot of research on fisheries and food security and how we can use everything and make the most out of the limited resource we have. The Faroe Islanders are absolute experts in some part of this process. Iceland is world leader in getting the most out of a cod. Norwegians are, as we all know, best in salmon farming, but sadly what Norwegian firms sometimes do when they start up in other countries is do what they are not allowed to do here, so repeat the mistakes. We have a lot to learn from each other. So let's stop being like the stubborn ass.
That's a fantastic end remark. So I think we don't have to say a word after this. So yeah, I guess our time is out. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you learned something. It's about copying, and it's about being brave, and work through your idea and through your motivation. So will things end well? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I have the pleasure of wrapping up this session. I can take this. I think we have a QR code on the screen here, and we would love to hear your feedback. What mechanisms do you think are important for strengthening entrepreneurship in the North? If you have the time and you have some ideas, we would be really happy if you would take a minute to share that information. Also, we have a little bit of time, so if somebody here in the audience would like to say something about this topic now, here is your chance. But I cannot see any hands, so I will try and wrap up what we have been discussing today. First of all, I must say that the first young panel, as a semi-geriatric lady, I feel like I'm a little bit in love with all of you because it's extremely inspiring, and I'm listening to what you are saying, that entrepreneurship consists of many small steps and not one giant leap. I think that is a really, really important thing to keep in mind. Also, I learned that, and you are really good examples of this, that the young entrepreneurs in the North are extremely passionate. As was mentioned later as well, keep with your passion, do what you really enjoy doing. And that networking is extremely important. And here we all, I think, play a really important role in sharing the networks, dropping the names in the situations so that we can share the knowledge. We're not stealing, sharing the knowledge will just create more knowledge. And also what you are saying, I think, is really, really important about if you fail, it's not lost time, it's gained experience. You take that with you in every part of life later. To the older generation, I also would like to highlight what we have been discussing about infrastructure, small campuses, available education where people live in really remote areas is extremely important. We know that from the history of the UiT about doctors in the north of Norway has been really, really important to educate people locally. We know this from experience, and we should keep this experience. I have a lot of notes here. It was very inspiring, and I cannot read all of them. But also somebody mentioned incubators on campus is really important to connect the education and the ideas. And also, I think Olavur said, stop teaching entrepreneurship as a subject, but as a method. It's really important. So I would just wrap this up. Thank you all for coming. And I will just end this session with the words from Ranveig, that knowledge is for sharing, and stop being the stubborn ass. I think that is wraps it up very well. So thank you all guys for coming.